Oh, loves, there's a lot of topics to talk about today. One, the spaces and places where the divine sacred feminines have been shoring up their standards and boundaries, and no one is entitled to have access to your energy except you. And there's this bridging energy where many of the feminines may be feeling frustrated energy connected to their divine masculine. And what's been coming through is what many are feeling is actually where the divine sacred masculine is actually feeling frustrated with himself. This you may be feeling directly with your twin flame divine counterpart, but you may also see this being reflected in other masculines in your life as well, family, friends, all of the masculines around you, or many of them, your children. Uh, so, with this process, it seems and feels very important that the divine sacred feminine remains and doubles down into her standards. There's a combo with this, and it came through in a message that I shared the other day for my members. And it's connected with tempering the energies of compassion and accountability. Okay. So, this is being able to hold compassion for what others are experiencing or going through, or where they may be having a difficult time. But it also feels very important to give them the space to be accountable for their experiences. And this is important because, yes, of course, you can't know what you don't know till you know it. You all know I'm a big proponent of this information. But it's also important that we learn from what we've done so that we don't continue to do the same things over and over again. And so there's this level of compassion for ourselves and for others. And again, also that level of equal accountability to improve upon whatever has occurred. So, what I'm sensing on a deep level is that the masculines, because of how well the feminines have stabilized into her standards, she's holding herself, she's been facing herself and not taking things on for the masculines or for others in her life and the feminine's life, whether I say her because we're speaking about feminine principles, but regardless of how you identify, you know where I'm going with this. I'm guessing if you're connecting with this topic, you've been on this journey for a while now and you understand we all hold both principles. But this part of not taking things on for others, this holding your standards not only benefits you, it does benefit the masculine because now what's happening is he is looking at his part of things, holding himself accountable or being held to hold himself accountable for like maybe past behaviors, past experiences, past responses, but also being held accountable to his potential and actually going for what it is that he wants in his life in truth, right? So, sort of being called to face himself so that he can discover his truth and his potential and whatever is aligned for him truly. And this is able to occur as a result of the divine sacred feminine giving all of that space to allow him to go through his process without fixing, without getting in the middle of it, without pushing or pulling. And it's okay if you're feminine and you're feeling the frustration or the emotions or whatever have you. This message wanted to come through to help you have the awareness that if it seems like, I don't know why this is coming up, I haven't felt this in a long time, I really don't feel that way anymore. It actually could be residuals that you can just simply unravel, dissolve, release. And it may also simply be if this is what the masculine is processing, I give him space and grace to own that, to be accountable for it, and to allow him to build the strength to work through that, because that is ultimately where he learns how to love and care for himself and step into all of his potential by being responsible and accountable for himself and his actions and his choices. And so, this, why I say this benefits everyone is because as the feminines, as the nurturers, the lovers, the healers, the intuitives, tend to hold those spaces so much without even realizing they're holding things up. And it feels also important for the sacred feminines to not only look at this pattern with the divine masculine, but also look at where you might be holding things up with your family, where your family dynamics or ancestral dynamics may be set up in a way where people do feel entitled to access you and your energy and your healing just by virtue of being genetically related to you, but that's not necessarily true. Those are just old agreements and contracts that as you evolve, especially as you are healing yourself so deeply, you're going to find that it's really important for you to embody those standards and boundaries, not only with the masculine, but with everyone in your life. Like I said, your children, your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your neighbors, your boss, your coworkers, whoever it is, it's really about you embodying these energies with everyone for yourself and really shoring up and focusing and owning your energy and your force and your focus in where you want to pour that focus, right? What do you want in your life? What do you want to experience? What do you want to create? And then where might you still be focusing your energy and attention on the patterns that are from the past? Now, if you still are, that's okay. Sometimes it takes a while to process through those, especially when we're talking about genetics, like your parents, the people who literally birthed you on this planet, or your children, right? The beings that you birthed on this planet. So be gentle with yourself. And if and when you find yourself in these circumstances where those dynamics are not working in the same way that maybe they once did, or you've just way outgrown it, but obviously you love and care for your family, this is where it boils down to the compassion and the accountability. Now, also this acceptance of truth. This is a lot of the energies that came in the final session for the Stabilizing Sacred Union series. And it makes sense because these are some of the foundational energies that are going to not only help us sustain and maintain sacred union, but those unity consciousness energies with everyone in our life. Truth, accountability, and compassion, right? So when we can be honest with ourselves about the circumstances, not expecting people to be something other than what they are, when we can actually accept the truth of who they are or what they're choosing to be, this actually allows us, right, to hold compassion for their process, but also hold accountability for whatever the dynamics are. And I'm not talking about the accountability that goes and says, yes, you can have a boundary. Like, look at, if you're going to keep doing X, Y, and Z, I'm not going to participate. And then if they keep doing X, Y, and Z, you don't participate, right? But you might still participate and interact with them in other areas or in other ways if this is your family, right? So you're holding yourself accountable to yourself, right? Honoring yourself, also allowing them to do what they do without trying to punish them or place conditions on them, right? Like they can do it, right? But you might not participate in that part of it in that way. Really, this is going to be up to you discerning what is best for you. You might start with a certain set of standards and boundaries and give them the option, kind of see how they work with it. If they respond to it, you keep going to the next step, right? If they respond in a positive manner and towards you. But the main thing that I'm really getting at is that you can hold boundaries and compassion at the same time and choosing what you participate in or not. People are going to feel what they're going to feel, and that's all okay, right? You can do things kindly and honestly, and they are also allowed to have whatever experiences or emotions they have around that. Give them space to process through that, okay? The main thing is that, again, the accountability boils down to you also being accountable to what is aligned for you. Because at the end of the day, this is your life, right? This is your experience, and you are the conscious creator of that. So it's important that you choose where you focus your energy and essence and life force, because where you focus it is what you are going to build more of. And so, like, what I'm saying is that when you have people that you love and care for, family, friends, you know, your masculine, whatever it is, however it is, you can still have and share love with those people. You can still participate in certain parts of the relationship that actually work for both parties. But you're not required to just give all access all of the time if things are not actually supportive for you. And what's coming to me is that there's a level of deeper reparenting that is happening as a result of these processes. And if you are finding that deeper topics connected to your family and your ancestral lines are coming up more intensely at this time, it is, I believe, because the closer we get to those embodiment of the sacred union energies, the inner union energies, and actually stabilizing sacred union partnerships in our lives now and into the future, the closest relationships to us are a very important mirror to our capacity to embody the sacred union energies and actually be able to sustain and maintain that, right? How are you navigating the triggers within your family? Are you caring for yourself? Are you stepping back? Maybe you still have reactions sometimes. That's okay, but how are you handling it? How are you recovering from those processes, right? All of these are indicators of your capacity to be able to stabilize sacred union energies. Okay. And this is for those of you even in current connection and relationship and partnership with your divine counterpart. This process of sacred union, embodiment, ascension, evolution is just that. It's ongoing growth, right? This is a process, not this exact stream of exactly what I'm saying may not be what we do forever because we're going to master it and we're going to grow at other levels, I hope, right? We're going to keep growing and going. But as sacred union, as divine counterparts and twin flames, this is a big part of the mission, right? To be able to share in interdependent connections and sovereignty and respect and accountability and compassion and embodying the unconditional love, which the unconditional love energies include you and the counterpart and whoever you're in that energy with, right? So that unconditionally loving energy is navigating the energies and the boundaries and the standards that work for you. How can you hold your heart open with these people, places, and things, but also simultaneously have standards and boundaries for yourself, right? So opening your heart to yourself for yourself, and then you sort of put filters and I like to say cushions of energy in between, like you and the external world experience. And obviously, people get closer to you based on how they respect you and treat you and interact in reciprocity, right? So, but even if they're not able to do it at those deep levels, you can still have your heart open and be kind and genuine with people, even if they're on those outer rungs, because that's just the appropriate space for both of you to be together, right? Because it's also important that we honor where people are and not try to expect or force or push them to be in an energy that we're, swimming in, but they don't know how to swim in that yet. You wouldn't just push somebody in the deep end that's afraid of water and doesn't know how to swim. I would hope not, at least, right? You might talk to them about it, encourage them to get some swim lessons, right? But you're not just going to go over and make them go in and build up more fear. We have to honor and allow people to be where they are. And this is where your own self mastery and your capacity to validate yourself is so important in these phases. And why it's important is because we'd be setting ourselves up for disappointment if we expect other people to be able to see and hold us when they haven't reached those levels for themselves. Okay. You've been working very deeply on yourself. Honor that, own it, right? Embody it, own it, and be okay with the fact that a majority of the people around you might not understand that process because they have not walked it. It doesn't mean that they don't care. It doesn't mean that they don't love you. It doesn't mean that they don't see you. They just might not be able to feel and see certain things because those parts of their energy are frozen or dissociated. And it's not necessarily your job to do anything about that, but just be you, right? Like allow everyone to go through their process in your presence, in your compassion, and your boundaries, holding yourself and others accountable will actually create a beautiful environment for them to go at their own pace and discover what feels aligned for them as you are embodying and becoming and being the example of just that for yourself. People may notice that you're pulled back. They may notice that the energy between you is different, but they're also going to be able to feel where you're holding love, where you are not in judgment of their decisions. And I promise I feel like I can promise that over time, that is what they will feel if they're tuned in. People, whether they know it or not, regardless of what we say or do, they can feel the truth deep inside. And if they're going through some things to sort through that, then you just have to give them the space to do that. And if they're your people, it'll come forward, right? And if not, they will fade away. But it feels really, again, important that you do not feel obligated to just give anyone access to you because of a title or a genetic line or anything like that, right? It's something for you to shore up, but you can also set boundaries and standards in kind ways, right? And kind to me is being honest and truthful with yourself. And then how can you be as kind to that person by being truthful and honest? Where are they? What can they actually handle? What's actually appropriate? And doing it in a way that feels best for you. That's all we can do is what we can do in the moment. Our best is the best in that moment. And whatever occurs, circling back to the beginning of this, all we can do is learn from the experiences. Living life and going through these processes is actually where we embody the spiritual, intellectual concepts that we understand, right? The things that we wish to see in the world, that we can understand in our heart and our mind, they actually become a part of the world and a part of our life by us being willing to embody these processes and to work them within ourselves and within our relationship dynamics. At least this is what I do. And this process, I have my sessions available, and I was guided and inspired to create a very specific session to just talk it out. So I'm going to put that on special for the next few weeks. I'm going to put it in the pinned comment. Yes, I do my energy work and all my other work is still available. But for those of you that sometimes feel that you kind of know, like you deep down know, but being able to speak out loud to someone who gets it is another form of really actually being able to embody it, right? Because again, when we're in the world and we're connecting with people who love and care for us, but haven't gone or been where we're trying to get to, they're not really able to hold the space, not because they don't want to, but they haven't accessed it yet. And you're, the one that's bringing it in. So if you think that it would be helpful to really speak it out loud, embody it with someone who does get it, I'm going to be available in the next few weeks to connect with you on that if you feel guided. All right, my loves. Again, the Sacred Union series is also completed for any of you that want to participate in that. It was a beautiful, powerful series. And I myself am still integrating and stabilizing all of the results from that process. So everything will be in the pinned comments. I hope you enjoyed this message. I hope that you are doing well. I would love to hear from you. And I'm sending you so much love and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care. Much love. Peace.